Julian, I'll start with you. Kind of, how are you viewing the US, and how does it kind of hold up, I suppose, in comparison to some of the other regions, some of which are also having a resurgence?
Well, there's several ways you can approach the US market in describing it. It's enormous. It's very, very large. It's 65, 70%. I can't remember the exact number, but it's a very large component of the entire world stock market now. And as you mentioned, recent leadership has been very, very narrow. So the market has become far more concentrated than it's ever been before, I think, in the entire history of the US stock market. So the top two holdings in the S&P 500 now account for 15% of the entire stock market wealth, and that's Apple and that's Microsoft. And then the top five now, I think, is around 25% of the entire market. So it's become reasonably concentrated in a way that's not really happened before. And the size of these companies, it's quite hard to get your head around. But Apple now is a $3 trillion market cap company, and if you work in finance, you're used to very large numbers, but that's a very, very, very large number. And 3 trillion, I think, is considerably more now than the entire FTSE 100, for example. So one stock, Apple, is worth more than all the companies listed, or the large cap companies listed in the UK. So it has become quite narrow, and those stocks trade at reasonably high multiples. So both Amazon and Microsoft, which are the two giants, trade at multiples around sort of 30 times. So they're reasonably richly valued companies. I don't think anyone would dispute that they're world-class companies. They probably will continue to grow. They have great financial characteristics. They have barriers to entry, but they're valued as such. Thinking a bit more about the States generally, and the reason why it has been a very successful stock market and has probably deserved its premium is it has grown in a way that most of the stock markets haven't. So if you were just to look at the earnings growth for the S&P 500 in aggregate over the last decade, the profits have gone up, very substantially over that period in a way that they haven't, for example, in the UK. And then the businesses are generally of a caliber that is exceptional. So the US is home to many, many world-class businesses, very high returns on invested capital, very value creative businesses. So I think that also goes to explain the premium of the US market. And I think, if you think more holistically about the United States, it's a very good place to do business. It's got extraordinary education systems. It's got a very good venture capital base, which means that new businesses emerge quite regularly. I find it quite hard to imagine that Apple or an Amazon or a Microsoft would emerge in any other country. So I think there's always reasons to be interested in the US market despite its premium.